Are you more naked than you should be? Hello, I'm Jeremy Taylor, and welcome to Wednesday Night Undressed, the podcast that reaches into the wobbly places other podcasts dare and venture. And we don't claim to look at things scientifically, but we do have the answers to everything you will ever need to know in life. Let me introduce our panel today. Ladies in charge, we have Miss Kay.
Hello.
Miss Kathleen's with us.
Hello.
The lovely Fernando.
Hello.
You are looking lovely today, may I say. Lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a bit low voice, but anyway, there we are. I'm Jeremy Taylor. Neil is running the buttons. Evo will be here in a minute.
Why is it that Evo never appears until 3-4 minutes after we start? Never. No matter
You
how
really
late
need
we
to
start.
do what I do with my sister and two of my best friends, and you tell them a half hour beforehand is when we are starting.
But he knows.
It doesn't work.
He has to
Yeah,
do.
it doesn't work. He's psychic.
No, he knows. When we do the radio show together, he knows what time the news
Maybe
finishes.
he has you bugged.
He knows when the news finishes. He knows how long the adverts are. Right, and
Evo
he
knows everything.
and he knows that I start to panic halfway through the last advert, and then he walks as if he's been there for half an hour. But you know what he's like with shaggy dogs, don't you? You know, everybody loves the old shaggy dog, and that's Evo. So there we are. Yes. Now, here we have. I nearly committed a big sin when we first came to America. And that was that
Just one?
we were invited out for dinner, right, by one of my wife's lovely aunts. And it was the army have this saying of being voluntold. We were going, it was voluntary, but we had to be there, And so we turn up at this rather lovely house, and it's all the dinner's laid out, and everything's lovely and all that, And I guess I just said, like you do, so what are we having for dinner, And she said, corned beef. I thought, you're kidding. I mean, this was quite an expensive house we parked up outside, And we're having corned beef. I thought...
But good corned beef.
Well, no. You see, I said...
Me too.
Yes, but you see, you're jumping ahead.
Well, speed it up then.
The corned beef that I had only ever had... right, was horrible stuff that came out of a can. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that they must have got very hard up or something, and they couldn't afford proper meat. It didn't occur to me that there was another type of corned beef.
The real kind.
The real kind. So one of my favourite canned meats is corned beef. And I'm interested to know what your favourite canned meat is. What's your favourite canned meat, Kay? Interestingly, when you grew up down south, a long way down south.
Everything's fresh down south. But the first time I had canned meat was actually in Austria.
La-di-da.
With
Yes.
my uncle, and I had tongue.
Ugh. Oh, yeah.
It actually wasn't bad. I didn't know what I was eating, but I really do like leverwurst, and a lot of times that's in a tube, however, versus a can. But I gotta tell you, when the question came up, it really made me think that there's a restaurant in town. I don't know if we're allowed to say what restaurants, but they have.
Sure.
Okay, so our wonderful. Well, I'll get there. Okay, so Spam.
Well, hurry it up. I mean, you wanted me to hurry up. Yeah.
So Spam's not too bad, and right
Spam.
now their commercial and having been in advertising, their commercials right now are great. That whole Friday, F-R-Y-D-A-Y, Friday, and then Friday, and they show Spam.
Right.
Or the put Spam in a taco, pork favor. Those are awesome. They're really, really fun. And there's a restaurant downtown that they saute up they've got a kind of a Hawaiian rice dish and have Spam in it, and it's really, really good. So I'm going to go with Spam.
Yes, Spam.
I'm not into tuna, and I'm not into things like that. So
It's funny you should say Spam, because long before Monty Python made Spam famous, we had to sit through watching my father's favourite meal on the planet, which was fried Spam, Italian tomatoes, so tomatoes out of a can, and cornflakes.
Ooh. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's his
Weird.
favourite
Weird
meal.
Father.
Favourite meal.
No.
I mean, just, oh my God.
If you haven't tried Spam in a long time and you're scared, go to Ramen Bowl, and they have this wonderful kind of Hawaiian rice dish, and it has little bits of Spam in it. And it's all, just diced up, and it just adds wonderful flavor, and it's great.
But fried Spam's okay.
I mean, I wouldn't like just smear it on some bread, but
Curry fried Spam, not so good, but or in an emergency.
yeah.
What about you, Kathleen?
I have not found any real meats except for fish, tuna fish. I'd say out of a can, tuna fish is my favorite. You can make some nice tuna fish salad. Yeah,
That's your favourite?
quite a lot of sweet pickle relish in there helps.
Right. But it's canned meat. Fernando, what about yourself?
When I was kid, it was almost like a delicacy, sorry, wrong pronunciation, but it was Spam in Brazil was like a weird stuff. Say, what the hell is that? And it was almost like a fancy thing, everything's fresh But then, I think anchovies and tuna are my picks. Now, and Spam, I don't remember last time I ate Spam in my life. Maybe it was at least 30 years ago.
Do you think the fish that you can buy, I mean, I miss, as our producer knows, I miss kippers, which are smoked herring. And the only way you can get kippers in the middle of America is in a can.
Right.
You can buy frozen in a bag, but, they're okay, but they're half the size of a real one. Real kippers, I suppose, 1.5 feet, is it?
That's
18
not a foot and a half,
inches?
up to a
It's a
foot.
guy's measurement of a foot and a half right there.
Yeah.
That's the Trump foot.
Yeah, Trump. What I don't know what you think, Neil, but 18 inches?
Yeah, that's a little big, but yeah, probably about
Yeah. And they're butterflied. So the herring is butterflied and then smoked.
In Italy, the sardines were very, very big. That was a big thing, and they were very, very
How
large.
big?
But
It's like
How
this,
big?
right? Like this.
yeah, like a real
How big?
8-inch. Yeah.
Yeah.
8 inches, yeah.
But my sisters will cringe, but I'm not into caviar, but I bet that would be somebody's favorite canned. Would be considered a meat, I would assume.
Yeah. Eggs.
Neil, got any specials you like? No, not really. Tuna, yeah. It's rather sad, really, isn't it? It's not.
Canned chicken is, it's something you can have in the pantry, but it's just not the same.
What is the chicken of the sea? What do they call it? Is that
Tuna.
Tuna.
That is tuna.
Yeah.
An albacore?
Albacore is
Tuna.
tuna.
Oh, it's all the same, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about ham?
deviled ham.
Oh.
Yeah, but you use fresh ham for deviled ham to make it a good ham.
Yes.
Really? Mm-hmm. So moving on then, which to another food that I don't like, which is pasta.
What?
He doesn't like pasta. I am so sad.
I think I have to leave this podcast now. Wow. I like every
But what's your
pasta.
favourite type of pasta then?
I love it all. I mean, mostly, there's different styles. I mean, if you're talking about which noodle do I like the best versus which style do I like the best, I normally like everything with tomato sauce just because so I don't eat things with Alfredo because it's just, I love cheese, but why add the empty calories and cover up your lovely pasta? It's sort of like fried food. Everything that's fried tastes the same. Everything with Alfredo sauce tastes the same. But there's so many different things you can do with pesto and tomatoes and just a little bit of tomato and a caper and a this, that, and the other and just keep it light and fresh. And I love every kind of pasta. I like pasta salads cold. I like hot pasta. A lasagna. My sister used to call me Garfield because all I would eat was lasagna when I was a kid and read Garfield at the same time. And yeah, love me some pastas. And when I was in Italy this summer, we learned how to make some pastas. We were horrible at it. Even my chef sister did not do a very good job with this particular type of specialty Piedmont-style pasta. But they didn't make us eat ours. We got to eat theirs, so that was good.
So that's northwest Italy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Around Milan.
Okay. Kathleen, what's your favourite pasta? We had pasta for supper last night, but it wasn't,
I know, it was fine. It was the big long tubes. I like shells. They but they all taste much the same. It's what you put with them, don't they? Isn't it?
Well, yeah, but some of them, just the thicknesses are different. Like
Well, yeah.
I'd prefer like an orecchiette over a macaroni, even though they're both small, that kind of thing. I'd prefer over spaghetti. I'd rather have the really skinny. What is it called?
Angel hair.
Angel hair.
Oh, I
yes,
love angel
yeah.
hair.
So it's just kind of different. And then now they're
I like
making
the flat
pastas.
ones.
Yeah, and then now they're making
linguine.
pastas
Linguine, yeah.
with part cauliflower mixed in or part other
Yeah.
things into them, so you're not getting quite as much of the wheat if you're freaking out about that because you think you have celiac disease but you really don't. You're just being in a trend. Sorry, that's my thing. Very few people have celiac disease, so get over it, eat your pasta and enjoy it and have a glass of wine.
I've just discovered various different vegetables that, the woman, what's it, salt, heat, fire, I can't remember. There's
Yes,
a thing on
it's-
Netflix about this really cool lady who salt, fat, heat, and something else.
Acid or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's
the
right.
4 elements of cooking and how you combine things.
Yeah.
It's just very good.
Thoroughly worth, if you've got Netflix, salt, acid, heat, fire, something like that.
I've
Just
heard
remember,
it's very cool.
and it's one of those sort of documentary type things that's fascinating to watch. Going and making, what's the Chinese, soy sauce.
Salt, fat, acid, heat.
That's it.
is
Salt,
what-
fat, acid, heat.
That's the name of it.
And they go and visit a place that makes soy sauce.
Okay.
And she says, well, the vats that they make it in, they ferment it in. And the guy, there's a youngish guy, doing it. He's the great-grandson or the great-great-great-great-grandson. And he said, we need a new vat. And, of course, there are specialist vat makers. Like there would be cask makers, for wine and things like that. He said specialist ones in Japan. And she said, okay, cool. And how many of these do they make? He said, well, about one every 70 years, sort of thing. But it's fascinating. It's a really fascinating show. And that's where we learnt about cauliflower, how to do different things about cauliflower. Not frying it, but baking it, slicing it into like steaks.
Sure, yeah. Actually, when I was in Peru, one of the things that we had there all the time was we just slice them in half, gut out the center, and then you make sort of like what you'd put in stuffed peppers and put that in there. Might be meat, might just be, breadcrumbs and cheese and more vegetables, and just bake it. That's wonderful.
Tell me,
Sounds great.
one of the things we like doing on the radio is chefing. As most people know, we have a chef. But how do you take out the middle of a cauliflower without it all falling apart?
Not cauliflower, zucchini.
Oh, zucchini.
Zucchini. I thought you said a zucchini.
No, I was talking about cauliflower.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just thinking of zucchini. Another cool thing, and this relates back to the pasta question, is I got a restaurant grade spiral slicer.
Oh, yeah.
And so it makes like the noodles out of your vegetables. And
Are people still using those, or were those a fad?
I use it all the time because I'm getting really into like peanut sauces, and so I'll do zucchini noodles and then put a peanut sauce in it with a whole bunch of vegetables and some sesame on it,
Oh,
and
lovely.
it's delightful.
Heat
And
in there too?
oh, of course,
Yeah.
a lot of
I'll have
sriracha.
one.
Yeah.
Just one. I don't-
Right.
But it's very easy, and
Sorry,
you just have to break out
listeners, we're
the
negotiating beer.
you just have to break out this little spiral thing, and then you
great.
can
So easy.
spiral up all your stuff, and then you put on different blades, and sometimes you can get kind of like wide spirals, and you can do that with your apples or whatever, and make a fun different kind of salad, or get jicama or different kinds of radishes and stuff like that, and just make sort of a pasta, even though it's not pasta.
I've got a spiral slicer, but it's a fairly cheap one, so it doesn't stand up very well.
They don't. The cheap
Yeah.
ones don't. You got to use the good one.
But I kind of have decided that I like squash and veggies and so on, but you don't have to spiralize them. Get an acorn squash and cut it in half, take out the center,
Oh, well, you-
and bake the sucker. Fill it with stuffing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Last night I did spaghetti, but my wife doesn't want the carbs, so I spaghetti squash. I mean, it really.
It's
fills
the
in-
easiest
it's so
squash
easy.
ever.
You
Well, we
just-
made it.
Yeah.
One of the rules that we made, Chef and I made, however many, 10, 15 years ago when we first started doing this, was that when we found something or somewhere or somebody, right, we would recommend it. Okay. Aldi's.
On that note, with the squashes, if we're going to recommend someplace, Limestone Pizza right now has a new fall acorn squash filled with a mushroom risotto that is freaking phenomenal. Just
Right.
So Aldi's, right? If you want the best chocolate
what?
in wherever town
I don't
you
know how we
live,
got onto chocolate.
no, you go to Aldi's.
We always get onto
Pasta,
chocolate
you
with
go
Jerry.
to Aldi's.
Okay.
Now, if you
all the
want,
same.
You don't
if
fill
you
acorn
want-
squash
if
with
you-
chocolate.
No, but you can fill it full of
could.
stuffing, right?
I just said that.
And Aldi's have an amazing. They do an amazing boxed stuffing.
They do.
The only
Oh, I
thing
thought you
is,
said that's the best place to get chocolate. And
it is.
No.
That's just coincidence.
Oh, Marche.
Oh, Marche, you have to
Gets
take
it
out a
from the
mortgage
same-
to get
they,
it.
They get it from the same place as Aldi's does. That only Aldi's. Anyway, trust me and go in there and get some of their chocolate. So, but also go to your local Aldi's and they do stuffing. Right. Now, on the box, it will tell you to use water. Don't use water. Use chicken broth.
Chicken broth.
Chicken broth.
Or veggie
and
broth.
and add a lot more extra butter. And trust me, this is as good as your mother.
He's choking over there on his
He
beer.
is. No, he's just drooling so much, thinking about all this good stuff. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
And we got, what did we use? An acorn?
Acorn squash.
Acorn squash is what it was, and we filled it full of stuffing.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yum.
butter and brown sugar. Mm-hmm. And I'm going home now.
That's why it was more sweeter than I was expecting.
Well, you told me to put brown sugar in it, so I did.
Toasted walnuts or pecans.
So, Fernando, what about you? Pasta? You into pasta?
Chocolate for sure. No, yeah, I mean, I like pretty much every kind. Like sometimes there is seasoning, sometimes I just stick with the angel hair, aglio olio.
And some parm.
It depends, but I mean, I think every kind. Stuffed or shells,
How would it be
tomato
pasta
sauce.
with a chocolate sauce?
I don't know. You gotta go to Aldi's.
Who knows? Yeah.
You gotta go to Aldi's.
Now,
Trust me.
do you like spaghetti fresh off the tree?
Yes.
I think that's the way to have it. Straight
Absolutely.
snip,
Just
drop
fresh,
it into the
fresh.
boiling water, and it's yeah, nothing better.
And there is a new pasta. I think it was chickpeas pasta.
Oh,
Chicken
You
really?
mentioned about some weird ones. Wasn't it okay?
Cauliflower in it. Yeah.
The chickpeas pasta was okay, believe it or not. It was almost like a dare
Yeah.
situation. It was.
Well,
good.
you can make a flour out of chickpeas, chickpea flour,
Yeah.
and you could make pasta out of that.
Yeah.
Right.
be-
And I mean, I think that's the source. I tried that
Right.
and it was acceptable, but I thought it would be awful.
Oh,
Yeah, and Oprah's actually making like her pizza crust with like 1/3 vegetables.
And another advertisement, we already put a few restaurants in town. Spin Pizza has the cauliflower.
Crust. It's
Crust.
delicious. Yeah.
I think that is such
We're
a
doing-
rook.
we're doing so many
you're
free
getting
ads today.
pizza, which is cheese and fatty
Tomatoes
meats
and
and
bread.
stuff.
That's
and
really
so
all you
you
need.
add a little
It's good.
vegetable to the pizza crust, and it's still not going to make it good for you guys.
No,
Oh, it's better.
but bread
it's better
should
for
it
you.
should not be bad for you. It's survived civilizations for thousands of years.
Right.
You know,
I
and I'm
bake
just
2
saying.
loaves of sourdough every week, and I eat it.
I really like my
I'm
mom's
with
And
beer
you
bread.
don't share it.
Gotta have
He
bread every
doesn't
day.
share
I'll
it.
bring it, but by the time Wednesday rolls around, it's getting a little old because I do
don't
it
like
on
sourdough.
Sunday. Oh, it's so good. Oh, you might have to try it.
Okay.
Where did you get your sourdough?
Where did I get it?
Yeah.
From
Put enough butter on
San
it.
Francisco, the original starter. And I've had it for a year
Oh,
and
you
a half.
make yours?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That kind of creeps me out. That's a whole other question. That whole like starter
It's amazing.
thing of yeast dough that goes around for 50 years through hundreds of hands, and that kind of creeps me out.
It's just it's a natural process.
I know it's supposedly, but
It is.
don't
And
know.
I keep it.
something creepy about it.
Oh, no. It's self-regulating because it'll kill anything that's bad. They overpower any other bacteria in the sourdough starter.
I mean, eventually I drink all my wine. I don't need to start it to have another.
You
use
got to
it
be
to-
self-sufficient at some point in your life, especially when Trump launches nuclear bombs or something.
Now, talking of Trump,
I'll be in Peru.
We're going to start on a new subject. One of the questions that's come in today, it must have come in today, What is the panel's opinion on the president's use of the term lynching? What's the panel's opinion on the president's use of the term lynching?
I'm kind of wondering whether he did it on purpose to distract.
Yep.
Fernando, let's go with Fernando first.
I'm with Katie on that. I think he's, of course, and it's funny to tell that perhaps he thinks on something, and it's another wise decision. Just bring the haters. I think there is a large group of people of power. Every time there is some polarity on a racial aspect, the races, like, they still doesn't matter. Basically, I think that these powerful people or aliens that also are there, like, when he do anything super racist, they think doesn't matter what crap this guy gonna do, we gonna handle that, we gonna swallow. I think that's my theory, but it's awful. I mean, he should not mention it. It's crazy. Like, I never thought in my life on this 2019, like, you know, I always joke with my young kids and I tell them, remember when you talk about, you know, LGBT rights and, you know, climate change, it's so walking back. So hopefully this nightmare gonna pass.
I want to throw a little grenade in,
Please.
and that is that not all lynchings, certainly back in the turn of the previous century,
Right.
were with coloured people. If you were a horse thief, right, don't expect to get in front of a jury or anything. They would hang you up. And you can go on the internet and see pictures of this, and that was a lynching.
But that was back then.
Right.
You know, now that word is really tied in with
Yep.
the lynchings of black people in America in the past. And, you know, up until this late mid-'60s, you know. And so that is just a really... That is a word that he used to hit the hot spots of everyone. It's a word that you can't.
But he must have. I think it was. You know, what's the panel opinion on the president's use of the term? He used that term. He must. His father was in the Klan.
Right.
And the
grandfather, I think.
Nope.
No,
father.
His father.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't
Was
know.
in
He was
the
arrested
Klan.
in New
Was
York
arrested.
wearing a hood in a demonstration.
Yeah. Fact of life. It's not. You know, if you're a Republican listening to this and you don't believe it, look it up. You know, there's pictures of the guy. You know.
Yeah.
Now, all right, back in the 20s and 30s, being a member of the Klan, whilst we would today look back and think it's terrible, we wouldn't think that if we were living in the 30s, you know. So, I don't know.
I
But
disagree
you
with
might, but...
There were plenty of people back then who knew it was unacceptable.
So what do you think, Kathleen, about the term?
Here we go.
I'm
Lynching.
thinking that he's an
We've
idiot
got about
and
half
a
an
nasty person, and but he is probably using it advisedly, despite being totally unhinged lately. It's simply to distract, because that's what he does.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had to try to see, look back and try to find out when he was using it and how and that sort of thing. But I ultimately realized it really didn't matter.
Nope.
And when you come down to it, the actual definition, and I looked at different or places for dictionary, like in the dictionary of it, and it says the exact same thing in everything. It doesn't go to a B definition or a C definition or anything. It is to put to death, especially by hanging, by mob action, or without legal authority.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming that he thought he was using it metaphorically. But the problem is, since we don't really know his definition, that he knows the definition of any word that comes out of his mouth or that he types into Twitter, does it really matter? Does he really know? Does he understand that he's talking about actually killing people? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. The grand plan is so beyond comprehension, it just doesn't really matter at this point. Because the words that come out of his mouth, he changes the definition depending on who he talks to. So,
Fernando, you want to come back?
No, I was just adding that to the definition. That's what the first thing I opened here. Especially, be killed, especially by hanging for alleged offense with or without a legal trial.
Yeah.
That's what the definition is.
Neil, you're the only other true American here. What do you think? You're from the Midwest.
I'm American.
Hang on a minute. I thought you were from that Peru.
I've
guy.
got dual citizenship.
Me
Well,
too. Me too.
I have 2 passports.
Not
I
you,
go through whichever line is shorter.
but not you.
I'm not. I'm British. Neil.
I think
a pure
he
breed.
knew exactly what he was doing, and I think it was a distraction tactic. And as I said at the beginning of the question, I think that word is not a word you toss around lightly. And to say that he is being lynched, no, he's a fool, and I could go on and on about him.
Just one thing to change there. I don't think that he used it advisedly. Somebody put it in his mouth.
Right.
Okay?
Who do you think?
He
Who
doesn't.
do you think?
Oh,
He probably
Miller.
thought it was a powerful word.
Stephen Miller.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then who the F
Yeah.
doubles down on that is Lindsey Graham. He tosses it out there and goes, it was a lynching. He's getting put out there without any kind of trial.
Yeah, right. Nobody's ever put somebody into a trial without first doing an inquiry or
Exactly.
an investigation.
Yeah.
Ever.
I mean, our laws aren't great and they're not perfect, but
Right.
at least they're there and they exist for a reason. And you work around it. I watch too much CSI and NCIS and Law and Order and SVU. And,
Well, those are taken from real life, right?
No, the following story
so
is
you-
not from
you-
an actual depicted event.
You
and
said,
is-
you said, I'm sorry, I want to go off just a second. I just want to ask. So you're an NCIS fan.
Yes.
Ziva.
Yes.
How's it going to finish?
I
What's
have.
Kay's prediction?
Okay, my prediction. So she's gone for now. Again. She came
But
back.
we know
She's
she
gone.
comes back. We
Yeah,
know she's
spoiler
coming
alert.
back. Yeah.
Well, no, she already has because we're in episode.
No, what
5.
I mean is she comes. Oh, where are
Episode
we
5 of season. Sorry, spoiler alert for those who have not listened to it, but this won't get published for a little while. So, so last night was
night, yeah.
season 5 of, episode 5 of season 17, and
We didn't
the
see it
first two episodes, she was back.
Right.
Now she's flitting off again to do something important. So, if you're talking about the very, very end of the series, I think she'll get together with her daughter Tali and back with Tony, and I think this is my hope and dream that Gibbs is going to finally reveal the secret portal in his garage that will allow the boats that he's been
Yeah.
building for 18
This
years.
is the big mystery of NCIS.
Yeah, like he just keeps building these boats in his basement, and everyone's like, "What do you do with the boat?" And it's never addressed. And I think he has this like secret
Then he starts over
garage
with a new
door,
boat, and it's
then he starts
disappeared.
over at the new boat, and it just. And so I think he's got this like magic system to get the boats out, and that's what I want to see.
Well, I think my finish is similar to yours. That he gets together with the psych girl.
Which one? The blonde.
Yeah, what's her name?
She's got a crush on him right now.
Yeah. And he gets together with her, right? And they're in the house making out, or whatever they do. They appear at the top of the stairs because she wants to know. Her question is, how do you get the boats out?
And this magical door opens up.
And he'll go through the door. Because I don't know how they do it. But I have some of those boats. I have some Chris Crafts. And it's not something you can just sort of pick it up.
No.
They're quite big, heavy boats. Anybody else watch NCIS? No, Fernando, no.
I'm sorry. I just
Kathleen
got into
does.
it last year, and I've been binge watching it.
good,
Like,
yeah.
it's awesome.
Do you know it's the most successful, most watched detective series in the world?
Really?
Yeah.
It took me a little while to get into it, like because I was so attached to my other ones. But when I finally was like,
So
hey,
we've come to the conclusion
this
that
guy's
the president knew what he was doing when he used the word lynching.
Or somebody
And-
knew what they
yeah.
were making him do.
So here's another question that's come in. I do know what it means.
Segue.
Yeah, we're moving on now. I do know what it means, but it's a bit weird. That is, I keep hearing that vinyl is making a comeback. Should it? I've always preferred leather myself, you naughty boy. Naughty boy!
oh, good God.
It went in the ear, and then it took about 5 minutes just to get there, Yes, I know. Stop it. No, really. Vinyl.
Stop
yes.
it. Stop it.
No. Oh, you are awful, but we like it. Yes, we do. So, vinyl is making a comeback. Should it? Fernando?
Well, it is back, believe it or not, and I think like I don't know when and who started that. Like it came back like probably in 2007, 2008, and now the vinyl like surpassed I think even sales of CDs.
Really?
Yep. And it gotta be a fault. I blame my generation. I always had more fun when I was a kid, like, you know, having vinyls, and then the CDs came. It blew my mind. Like, that's amazing. It's small and you carry it anywhere.
What was your first vinyl? What was your first record?
Oh, gosh,
I only had one.
Like, I think was I think was the Cure.
Oh, you're younger than I am.
Stand on the Beach, or was it U2 War? I think it was 7th grade or 6th grade, but I was already massive vinyls. Like every time I go to any uncle or my parents, and I keep massive vinyls and I listen every kind of music they have. So I always was obsessed to listen all sorts of music, and so I just like to see the thing moving and make sound. And then I thought my vinyl collection is still in Brazil in my mom's house. I didn't brought here. I should. But then I had like probably almost 1,000 CDs. Long story short, now I'm raising
Records.
my vinyl. Yes, and raising the vinyl numbers, and my CDs got pretty much all sold out and all digital now. Like I keep all in storage and just the collect thing. But it's just a hobby. I think I don't know how far it will go. I'm glad at least like they're making some money, because I mean, you know, the piracy, people doesn't know what's the kids don't have the patience to listen album track to track, and that makes sense. You gotta don't listen compilation. You know, there is a reason why the band created that album at that time.
So interestingly, my stepdaughter said the other day, she posted something that one of the kids, grandchildren, had said, "Mum, what is recording? What's recording?" Didn't know what recording was, you know. And she says, she's in her mid-30s, and she goes,
Not at the time
God,
she asked you this.
So I feel so old, you know. She said, you know, God, you know, and I sent back, so like you would know what an 8-track is, you know, sort of thing. And immediately back I got, what's an 8-track? You know, it's a generational thing, I suppose. But what I don't understand about vinyl, being of the generation where we did not have even 8-tracks or cassettes, it was vinyl or nothing, and it was always scratchy, and it was never very good quality, and apparently that's what people are looking for now. They don't have the quality of a CD.
Oh, it's
or
superior. No, you have way more. You get the scratches, any dust, the vinyls can get worn out. But you get, if you put like an oscilloscope and see the frequencies, you even, I mean, of course, it's...
Hang on a minute. Oscilloscope.
Oh, yeah.
What's this oscilloscopy?
It measures sound.
Come on, you help me.
Oscilloscope is an electronic device that measures wavelengths.
This is a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't.
And
do
we have
oscilloscope.
oscilloscopes. You know, I have one right here, and I monitor you guys to make sure you fall within the spectrum that the FCC will allow.
In a spectrum? I'm in a spectrum?
Yeah.
Cool.
But anyhow, like even some sounds, like it's the quality is definitely superior. Those scratches and bring much more on a vinyl.
The wavelength is wider.
Oh, it's your wavelength.
So when you put it on
You know,
a CD, it narrows the wavelength, so you don't get the full rounded sound that you get
your
from an
full
album.
rounded. Oh, yeah. It's your full rounded
sounds
wavelength,
so dirty.
isn't it?
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I kind of am a dirty guy.
Well,
Some would say. Some would say. So, Kathleen, what do you think about vinyl?
they make good frisbees.
Oh.
Yeah.
I am not a music person. I don't collect music. You know, if I want to listen to something, I'll turn on the radio and classical music station and see what's on. And if I don't like it, I'll just turn it off and not listen
So
to
is
anything.
that you're saying you're like just listen to NPR late nights, right?
Yeah.
What was your first album, though? Even though you're not a music person,
my first
you had to have
album
gotten
was a gift from the guy who later became my first husband. And he gave me Beatles I can't remember
Which one?
I don't know. I didn't even follow the Beatles. He did.
There was a submarine.
He
or
gave it to
were they
me
walking on
when
the
I
street?
didn't have a record player, and I was at college, and my parents had a stereo. I didn't have any way to play it, but he was living there because he was staying with them, so he could play it,
What song? Do you remember any of the songs
No.
from the album?
and I didn't care.
Oh,
And why I married the guy, I don't know. I mean, I should have known then.
We
My
just
first
lost a listener.
mine was a 45, and it was the Beatles, and it was I Want to Hold Your Hand.
that's a good one.
Wow.
Yeah, and I thought Ringo Starr was the cool one. Everybody else thought other people were cool. I always thought Ringo Starr.
Okay,
George-
I
George
did listen
Harrison.
to some
George
records
Harrison.
Yeah,
when I was a
right.
kid.
But they're both cool.
But I was with my two little brothers and my sister, and we listened to Bill Cosby's routines
Yeah.
and Andy Griffith's.
Smothers Brothers, maybe?
Smothers Brothers, comedy things. That we didn't listen to music. God, Bill Cosby was
She
hilarious.
has an aunt. My wife's got an aunt, right? An auntie who dated one of the Smothers brothers.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
She
what
was
do you-
managing a nightclub
Which
in
one?
Denver.
Tommy or I forgot their names.
I wasn't there.
Dickie.
Yeah.
It's probably Dickie.
I think it was Tommy actually.
Tommy.
But
I'm
should
not
it make a comeback?
It is back already.
It is.
And I think
think.
that's holding the record labels. Like, they're selling insanely.
That's crazy.
By the way, if you can hear in the ether as you're driving along in the car, a bit the old Clint Eastwood,
Yeah.
if you think you can hear that, you can't. It's not real. But there is a guy behind you on a horse with a 6-gun. So just so you know. Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to ask me,
Um,
Jeremy? Thanks.
Well, you were unpleasant to me when we first started. I put me in my place.
Yeah, well, somebody has to.
Okay. What record?
You're nice. Your wife is too nice to you. So actually, format is. Oh, you're mean. Format doesn't matter too much to me. And like Kathleen, I don't collect music at all. I like it, but I think it would be cooler to find like old music prior to the 40s or something like that, where it's just kind of gotten lost a little bit.
Right.
But like you hear on different old shows and stuff, like sort of what are the things called with the big
Speakers, the
Victrolas.
Vitrolas, like the Vitrolas, and you hear like kind of that old 20s and 30s music, and a lot of that is getting lost. And so I don't care if it's on vinyl or if it's on CD. I'm more concerned about the music, I guess, would be more interesting, because it is sad being in theater and pretending that I sing every once in a while, that I don't have that great of an ear. But I don't mind the scratches. I think it makes it rustic and it's cool. And I only had one record ever in my life on this little red, like, play school record player, and I got it in my
Set or
third grade.
something.
Huh?
They're called dance sets or something.
I don't know, but I don't
was
even
it?
remember
Do you know?
I don't remember the band, but the song. Pass the tootsie on the left-hand side. Pass the tootsie on the left-hand side. That's like all I remember, right? Yeah.
What is the
It was like a little kid band.
Crisscross.
No.
That's the
Crisscross
two kids rapper, right? No,
I'll
that's
look it
not
up,
John.
but so in the next question. But anyway, that's the only. It was like a little single.
Like, it's like
a bunch of little
big
kids.
Group, or a bunch of little kids.
It was like a early boy band. Well,
Yeah.
not pre-Latin boy bands, but anyway. But yeah, that was the only record I ever had, and then I was able to go to tape. And then another little point to make: the very first time I ever saw a CD, I don't know if you guys remember this, was the Pepsi commercial with Cindy Crawford, and I was like, "What is coming out of that car? What is this? What is happening?" And it's like this, sexy Cindy Crawford commercial, and she puts a CD in and pops music and then guzzles down her Pepsi, la 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 la, and then everything was CDs from there. I don't know.
I got your name of your band. Musical Youth.
Yes, Musical Youth. That was it.
I looked
The
it up.
first CD I had was Phantom. The Phantom of the Opera. And listening to her whack that out was, really, really quite something. But it's interesting what you say about early. So I'm a rock guy, heavy rock. Is Zeppelin, those sort of things. But,
Did you like hair bands?
Yeah-ish.
Not anymore.
Bands I like today, Nightwish, things like that. But what I find interesting is I was sick or I was something, and for some reason I watched the Glenn Miller story. Right, I had hair down to my shoulders, and what have you.
He does not now.
No,
Just saying.
just so you know. And I found it fascinating. I loved the music, Glenn Miller music. That was great. But I found myself talking to one of the guys in the band I happened to be with, and I said, well, wouldn't it be really interesting to play some Glenn Miller? But instead of using, he used a trumpet, didn't he? Or a trombone, no, trumpet, would be to use a lead strat to play that
With an orchestra band.
Yeah. So to a heavy rock orchestra. And now, 40 years later, bands like Nightwish and others are doing that sort of thing. Or taking Phantom and the main song from Phantom, but turning into a heavy rock. I find that fascinating. But anyway, we've gone off the subject. These vinyls making a comeback.
That never happens.
I wonder where all my old albums are. I don't know what happened to them.
I don't
I
think
sold
they
them
are at the house.
It was the great sale of 1987, and I needed money. I had to eat.
Right.
So I went down to Love Garden or Exile Record and Tapes.
You ate your records?
I sold them all.
Oh.
And I got a pittance for them, but I was able to eat for that week.
He drank beer.
Well, that too. Jazz House.
Okay, so last question we're going to do tonight. I want to know. Got a lot going on in the country, a lot of angst all the time. It doesn't matter. You turn on the news and the president said something nasty about somebody else, or someone said nothing nasty about the president, or Hillary Clinton did that and everything else, and we're heavy into politics. And then we watch a bomb go off and we're worried about what's going on in Syria and everything. But there seems to be something that's missing, and I know this is going to be dear to your heart, Kay. Mm-hmm. Do we need to do more as a society to promote the arts? I mean, and I take that as a society. I mean, as a country, as a government, as a the local town. Should they raise money, tax people, and spend it on the arts?
As somebody who's been involved in the arts for a couple of decades now, and I've learned a lot in the past decade for sure, it is a very leveled question, but if I can bring it down to just a few points. In order to keep your different areas, I mean, obviously, Lawrence, we've got so many wonderful arts programs, almost too many, too many to fund, as opposed to Topeka, where they are growing in the arts, but they have the big, as the capital, they have big organizations who can help fund the fewer amounts. You've got this big disparity on how that can be funded, and since we, as of many years ago, or a few years ago, lost our NEA funding, particularly in Kansas. Yay, thank you. To fund arts, we've been able to at least, hopefully, through individual donations, help keep those wonderful things going. But the big thing, I think, is in rural areas where we need to have things that are important for families, like fun things in life to do that are cultural, that are nice, that are artsy, music, anything like that. We are losing that, and so we're losing people moving into small town areas who are really those farmers and those industrial folks who are really helping sustain our baseline, and we don't have arts for them to enjoy their day of life, and that's hard. And I think that's where we really, right now, particularly in our climate, need to be focusing our arts attention is to those areas where we need to draw people so that they have a quality of life that they like, and they're not just going to work, going to a bar, drinking and leaving, and have nothing else in their life. They need to have music, they need to have arts, they need to have fairs, they need to have things like that, and that's where we don't have funding anymore.
I think it's interesting. A mutual friend of ours, Hayley Gillespie, who's a specialist.
Hi, Hayley.
Specialist in youth theatre, and that's what she does. And she does an amazing job at it. She's the proverbial Pied Piper, I think. She comes from a town, not a town. It's a hamlet.
A bump in the road.
Yes, a bump in the road way out west, 6 hours west of here, sort of where we are, of Kansas City and Topeka. And she decided that it would be fun to take a gang from one of the big local theatres here, the youth theatre, to take it out to her home village. They've got a sort of a school, I think it is there, and so she thought, right, let's do it, and we'll do it properly, and we'll take the kit with us and everything else. And all of a sudden, all the local churches and the schools and the groups, all these kids, it was like sort of I can't think what I'm trying to say, the opposite of trying to escape. They came in and they were inundated with kids and
just people just getting involved in this kids program.
Yeah.
That it was like, oh, our kids have something to do. Okay, well, let's help them out. And it really, they had a hard time the first year trying to get it started, but then the next year it was just very, very successful.
once everybody got to know about it.
Yeah. And that kind of thing is so needed and needs to be funded for small towns like where Haley comes from. And I'm trying to remember what town it is. I can't think of it, but that's the kind of thing where
It'll
I
be Haley
think
Town at some time.
Something Inca.
no, I'll think of it. But I mean, we definitely promote it in Lawrence. I mean, there's no way you can't say that we're an arts town, or even like Lucas, Kansas, who got a $10,000 grant to make a bathroom. If you haven't Googled that, look up the Lucas bathroom. That's all you need to look up, and it is amazing. I have peed there. It is great. I'm just saying, it's really a cool place. They got $10,000.
Quimper? No.
Quinter. Haley is from Quinter. So anyway, so these smaller towns that need something more to engage themselves and be excited about the communities where they live outside of just agriculture or industry, they need something to bring up their quality of life. And so that's where I think promoting arts is really in the most crucial stage, particularly since we've lost federal funding through the NEA. So,
what about Fernando? What about where you come from in Brazil? Do they? I mean, they have. I know Brazil is an amazing country and it has huge theatres and an art scene. But what about for sort of smaller villages out in the middle of nowhere?
And that's what I take in my head here from US. Like my kids, they're very blessed to have this opportunity. Like the schools, like basically they're like, I think in a pure of every human being, I think everybody loves arts. And then it's one of those things, you get busy, you start working, you move to something else, and then you don't have what to do. So what are you going to do? We're going to watch sports. Why? Because they're watching. My uncles are watching. But I mean, everybody, I feel the essence of the human being, I think everybody loves art. I believe everybody here, right? Mm-hmm. You would like to draw, or you like music, or whatever, like to perform. But I miss so many, I didn't have opportunities. And I see my kids, they play multiple instruments. The school, there is a lot of amazing programs with plays and choir. So they're almost a multi-artists, just following. That's what they love. And at the same time, sometimes they like more science, but sometimes they put one field a little aside to pursue more something artistic, or vice versa.
Is Brazil sort of like Peru, where, it's a cultural thing where, weekends, even still now, in even smaller towns, bigger towns, you have your peñas where they're dancing and they're singing, and they're bringing the tradition of those musical
folks,
arts.
Right? The family bring that, and then we play music and we go to the backyard of everyone else, and right?
And you jam.
It's not organized. I never heard there anything about fundraiser for any sort of anything. It's not it blow my mind to see how much the some of the congregations and churches also actually bring together here. You see, there nobody gives a crap. So if you ask anybody in the room, what's your religion? I'm Catholic. Everybody raise a hand. So when was last time you went to church? Maybe at the funeral. What was the wedding 3 years ago? So the people, it's not it's funny but here it's people are serious. They go to freaking church every Sunday.
Oh, see, in Peru, at least my family down there, they go to church quite a bit. But I think when you said
daily
fundraising,
mass, right?
yeah. So the fundraising is done for earthquakes and landslides and, starving villages and that kind of thing, where the arts are always there. And they're just, and people, you don't have to be a savant learning how to play the guitar. You might just be hanging out and just joining in with those who might know how to play. And it seems more just inert.
And also there is a lot of community centers there. Not like here also we do have.
I was stunned. I mean, my wife will tell you, when we first came here and my boys went to the local school, high school, and so they've always been very sporty, played rugby and all that sort of stuff back home. So we come here and they get involved with the football team. So we go to the first evening, as you do, like all parents go to the first evening football thing, right? And we're sitting there waiting for something to happen, and we hear this, and it's the band.
Yeah.
I'm going, and what the hell's that? Kath goes, oh, that's the band.
What band?
What band? What are you talking about? And round the corner comes this,
The
full-blown marching band with the girls and the dancers and the. I had never seen anything like it in my life. Genuinely,
Amazing.
Never seen it. I had seen it on telly, right? The Texas. Yeah,
76 strong.
Right.
He's probably seen that,
But I'd never seen a real one. And so today, what happens with the sports? You can do sports, or you do band,
Or you do all together.
or you do something else. But it's just like
Crazy.
And it's just normal.
Yeah.
But I leave you with this thought as you're driving along in the car. Yeah, it's really cool. Let's put lots of money into arts and the arts centre. And I have some dear friends who run theatres and do all sorts of things. Mary WB, for instance, and so on. But should we put money into a theatre, or should we fill potholes in the road?
I think those people who go to theaters are going to help fund filling the potholes to get there. The potholes to get there. Yeah. I'm just saying.
You've been at it again, haven't you, Kay? You've been at those things.
No, well, having performed this weekend, I will tell you that I would fill the potholes to get there so that I could be a part of it. So, for sure.
All right, you've been listening to another Wednesday night Undressed.
Can I interrupt before you go, though? Just one little thing.
Very.
Okay, so
because I've started now.
I know. Happy birthday, Dad, and also Johnny Carson. It was his birthday today.
Is he still alive?
No.
Yeah, he's.
Is he?
No, he passed
It's National
away.
TV Talk Show Host Day, National iPod Day, and National because we don't want to end on a sad note. So anyway, National Swallows Depart from San Juan Capistrano Day as well.
Oh, why do you keep saying your dad's 90 years
do they
old?
have a
He's
marching
89.
band?
Well, then you shouldn't say he's 90, should you?
I didn't. He turned 89. He turned 89
Well,
today.
it's a 9. Don't mention nines.
Okay.
Any nines.
Why?
He wants to think.
Why?
Because
He's now on his 90th year.
don't do the nines. In his head, right, he's still 33. He is still able to look at a lovely, good-looking girl when she walks past.
Mm-hmm.
He's still 33. He can drive a Ferrari if he wants to, he thinks. And that's why, you don't mention the nines. You've been listening to Wednesday Night Undressed. I will not be stopped this time.
What's the sponsor?
What are the sponsors tonight?
I was doing that instead of sponsors.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where's Evo?
don't know.
Evo's the only one who ever talks to Susan in marketing.
I think he's doing something with Susan in marketing.
Oh.
Yes, who can
Okay.
tell? She's probably got him with a steak or something when he was flying past. But anyway, so thank you very much indeed for listening. Team tonight, smaller team with Kay, Kathleen, Fernando, Neil, and I, Jeremy Taylor. Thanks again for listening. Talk to you soon. Yay.